Hello, how's it going? Today, we're finishing Chronicle Volume 1. I'll be covering Stormwind and the Gnoll War, as well as The Last Guardian, and then we're done with this book, and we can move on to Volume 2. So let's go! Stormwind. As its population started to grow, small towns popped up in nearby Aegwynn Forest, the Redridge Mountains, and Westfall. And everything was nice and peaceful, until everything was not nice and not peaceful. Packs of ferocious dumbasses called Gnolls launched raiding parties. In response, Stormwind dispatched knights and soldiers to patrol the land. Stormwind was a sanctuary for those who'd been driven from their homes by the Gnolls. The kingdom didn't just offer safety, but also spiritual guidance. Clerics from the Church of the Holy Light adventured south from Lordaeron to spread their faith. When they came to Stormwind, they founded the Holy Order of Northshire Clerics, also known as Honk. During the reign of King Barathan Rin, the Gnoll threat spiralled out of control. They started launching assaults on Stormwind City itself. However, it quickly became clear that these were mere distractions. While soldiers defended the city, farmsteads in Westfall would burn. This was unusually tactical on the Gnolls' part, because they're dumbasses. Turns out, a cunning Gnoll alpha of the Redridge pack had spent years conquering other packs in the surrounding regions. He was called Pack Lord Garthang, and he now had an army of vicious raiders at his command, and the tactical knowledge to use them efficiently. King Barathan sent envoys to Lordaeron, Gilneas, and the other human kingdoms to ask for help, and their response was, nah. They didn't really see how sending aid would benefit them, and this made Barathan a little bit angry. He had a little brain trust meeting with himself and thought, the Gnolls have been pretty bold to attack the city, so we're going to go and be equally bold. Under the cover of darkness, the king and a small group of elite knights left the city and waited for the next Gnoll assault to hit the city's walls. When the raiding party arrived, the king and his men rode away from the city towards the Redridge Mountains. Barathan's gambit paid off. Pack Lord Garthang had sent the vast bulk of his forces for this raid. It was the king himself who sank a blade into the Pack Lord's neck. With their leader dead, the Gnolls turned on each other. Although pockets of these buggers would continue to dwell within the region, the Gnolls would never again threaten Stormwind as they once had. The king became known as the Adamant and was celebrated a hero. This victory gave the people of Stormwind the confidence that they could handle any threat. Stormwind entered a period of great prosperity, but would become even more distant from the northern kingdoms. Meanwhile, the Council of Tirisfal were still trying to find Aegwynn, but Aegwynn remained safe in her sanctum, deep within the sunken ruins of ancient Suramar. On rare occasions, she'd emerge and observe the council, but to her dismay, their practice of interfering with politics had become more overt and troublesome. On one of the occasions that Aegwynn wasn't in her sanctum, she crossed paths with an unrelenting member of the Tiris Guard. His name was Nihilus Aaron. He hounded her for months. During their duels, they'd banter back and forth. She'd be like, nice skills, shame about your face. And he'd be like, shut your mouth, you cow. The idea was that they'd learn of each other's strengths and weaknesses, but to Aegwynn's surprise, Nihilus seemed to harbour misgivings about the Council of Tirisfal. He was aware of their political meddling, and he wasn't a big fan of it. And Nihilus realised Aegwynn wasn't the traitorous rebel the Council had made her out to be. The more he learned, the more he began to sympathise with her. He also sensed that she was wrestling with some unseen darkness inside her, but for all his brilliance, he'd never figure out what we all know, that she has some Sargeras inside her. He wanted to help her overcome her struggle, so he laid down his arms and abandoned his hunt. And guess what? They bloody fell in love, didn't they? Feel free to roll your eyes. They agreed to work together to prevent the council from ever having control of another guardian. Knowing she couldn't maintain her mantle of guardianship forever, Aegwynn proposed a solution to Nihilus. How about we have a baby? Now in Chronicle, it says Nihilus readily agreed, but balls to that. In my version, he was all like, now hold on just a second. This is a big life choice. Not something we should just rush into, you know? Jesus. So anyway, they had a baby. It was a boy, and Aegwynn named him Medivh, which means keeper of secrets in the High Elven tongue. I suppose babies are pretty good at keeping secrets. The infant possessed an incredible affinity for magic. Aegwynn locked her powers away within the boy's spirit, where they would linger until Medivh reached maturity. But guess what? He has some Sargeras inside him. Aegwynn and Nihilus searched for a place where Medivh could safely be raised and ultimately settled in Stormwind. Nihilus became the official conjurer of Stormwind's royal court. Aegwynn, having secured a future for her son, buggered off. The long centuries had taken their toll on her and she could bear no more. She left Medivh in the care of Nihilus and disappeared. Due to his father's role in the royal court, Medivh spent a lot of time with two other notable children, Anduin Lothar, a descendant of the Arathi bloodline, and Lane Rin, the Prince of Stormwind. Medivh cherished this friendship, for their little mischievous adventures were a nice break from Nihilus's intensive tutoring. Nihilus wasn't exactly the most nurturing father either, never praising his son for excelling in the arcane arts, and always just kind of pushing him to achieve more. But one day, Nihilus did reveal why he'd placed such a hard burden on Medivh. He informed informed him of the Council, the line of the Guardians, even Medivh's own secret heritage, and he claimed Medivh would one day assume the role of Guardian, and then the fate of the entire world would rest solely on his shoulders. And that was a lot of pressure. On the eve of his 14th birthday, the stress building within Medivh ignited his dormant Guardian powers, and he exploded. No, he didn't explode. Fevered dreams tormented him as energies were unleashed. Nihilus struggled desperately to help his son, but the incredible powers within Medivh lashed out, killing his father. The boy fell into a coma. For many years, he lay unconscious in Stormwind's Northshire Abbey, tended to by clerics and watched over by Anduin and Lane. When he finally awoke, Lane was about to succeed his father as king. Anduin had become a knight in the military. Despite his strange coma, he appeared normal and assured the clerics everything was dandy. Medivh didn't know that he had some Sargeras inside him, subtly twisting his every thought and action. At long last, the fallen titan had found the perfect instrument in which to begin the Legion's next invasion of Azeroth. And we're leaving it there! We bloody did it! And what a cliffhanger, eh? So obviously we'll be moving on to Volume 2 next. However, it's come to my attention that I'm going to be busy next week, so I can't actually fit any time in to do a video for Wednesday. So what I'm going to do is the usual Chronicle Volume 3 video on Monday, and then another Chronicle Volume 3 video on Friday. So if you want to see those, make sure you're subscribed. If you enjoyed this video, press the like button, talk to me in the comments, and all that's left to say is, thanks very much for watching, and see ya!